Yeah, I think we're episode 82.
It's got to be.
Yeah, because we had Val at 80. Then there's you at 81, which we just did old world stuff. And then there's today, which is more old world stuff, which is 82.
Perfect.
Perfect. All right. Do you want to bring us in, Neil?
Welcome to Strength Hammer.
Good, because we've been
about
going
more old world today.
Yeah, we've been going for 30 seconds. You have to bring us in. It's cold open.
Perfect.
Oh, it's a cold open. Neil. Oh, it's a little laggy today. Probably because I have too much going on in the background. How are you today, Neil?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
Good. Well, that's really
Got
laggy.
stuff I got to do for a new job tomorrow, and I've got to be at a hospital in Cleveland by 7 a.m., which means I got to leave here about 5:30 a.m. I can't wait. So
Cleveland?
Mhm.
Man, Cleveland sucks.
It could be worse. It could be
Could be.
Pittsburgh.
Ooh, that's some harsh words.
Well,
We were
true
still
words.
we were still technically in the playoffs by the minute longer than Cleveland was. Just
By the
because
minute.
our game was delayed, so we had an extra day.
Technically, we were out of the playoffs within about 3 minutes of the game starting. So
It looked like we were out quickly too, but we made a little comeback. We tried. Just Josh Allen is dick, but thankfully Taylor Swift's boyfriend took care of that for me. So
Yep.
I am rooting for the Taylor Swift versus Eminem Super Bowl. Detroit, Kansas City. That's what I want. That's all I want.
Oh God, I was rooting for Baker Mayfield, and then Detroit took care of him. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. They did their job.
Uh-huh.
Well, anybody that's watching this podcast, thank you, by the way. It might be a little laggy today because I have some images up in the background, and we're trying to Discord on the video this time as opposed to Google Meets. So we'll see what happens here, but audio should be good. Audio is usually crisp and clear now. I got that kind of down to a science, it feels like.
Yeah, I'm on my wife's laptop tonight, so this is what you get, guys. All right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. And welcome because we're at like 460 something subscribers now. So thank you everybody that's joined in on this old world fun we've been doing.
Nice.
Yeah, we're getting close to that 500 goal. And after that, I think I have to start trying a little bit harder. I'm trying a little bit harder, but I try a lot bit harder. Maybe is that what?
To 500, man, you got to get that content out there.
I'm working on it. Unfortunately, actually, work has been drastically busy. So like those midday videos I could just crank out on something. Just not as fast and furious as I want them to be, but well.
Well, you gotta make a living.
Exactly, yeah.
500 subscribers not gonna fill your coffers.
No, and I'm, even though I support a couple Patreons now for Old World, I don't plan on creating one for this yet. So it's all reliant on my money and Neil's money, and Neil has kids, so he does not have money.
No.
And
very low budget.
And I'm excited.
You can tell by my screen back here. Very low budget.
Very low budget. Well, look. I forget what it was. It was one day someone's wife like saw the video. They were watching the video of me, and their wife walked in. It's like, oh, that's a really cool like kitschy little like background they have on, and he's like, that's just their basement, dear. This is my basement. This is real. It's Western Pennsylvania. That's what you get. But also, speaking of poor, my Old World order shipped finally.
Nice.
I'm real confused because the shipping thing came out today. It said manifested. I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just see what's the estimated delivery, because I'm also going to be gone next week. Don't worry, everybody. We're going to plan a recording. There'll be a video out for you next week, or two, at least a full podcast. But I was like, when's it going to arrive so I can keep an eye on it for my wife? And it says it's arriving tomorrow. I'm like, I doubt. Press an X to doubt. But even UPS sent me an email, said, "Hey, get ready for your package from Games Workshop tomorrow." I'm like, really? Like
I don't trust you.
I don't trust you, and I'm fine. Like it can come next week. I'm not like worried, but like
Yeah.
it's just like it's confusing. So tomorrow's gonna be a fun time to see if my old world order arrives of all the cards, the rest of the books, the Bretonian box, all that kit and caboodle.
Yeah. Can't wait. Can't wait for mine to get here too.
Well, yeah,
To be
exactly.
able to get those pages in my hands.
Yeah, because once we both have the book is when we can start doing. We'll do like a review, our review of the rules because I want to make sure you get a game in. I've had multiple games
Yeah.
in now. We'll talk in hobby time, but um, army reviews we can look at the stuff that we have and go from there. But you need the rules in hand. But anyway,
Sure. My first tutorial game, my first actual rolling of the dice in the old world was supposed to happen tomorrow, and unfortunately, my good friend John D, down and out right now.
yeah,
Feeling good, but we got to get over a little bit of that itis,
a little bit of
and then
ice.
yeah, we'll be good.
Well, anyway, let's go through the usual routine. So first up is the fitness. Neil, how's your fitness been this past week?
My fitness has not. I've not been doing anything official. We've had a very busy week of my son turning 10, so most of my weekend and everything was at Kalahari. So
Okay,
unless you want to count fitness as a fat man going down a plastic tube, Kalahari is an indoor water park.
sure, yeah,
I don't know. I know it got my heart rate up a little bit on some of those,
a little
but
scary.
so no heart attacks though, so that was good. So that's my win of the week. All right, went down the inner tubes, didn't die.
That's a pretty good win. My fitness, it's we are just finally out of like that cold snap we've had here in the Northeast. Um, so my fitness has been home workouts. So some basic bench squat. I have a thankfully it's warm enough. I'm gonna be working out with Alex Fithammer tomorrow. So I'll get a nice solid workout, which is good since I'm away next week and I'll be on hotel workouts for at least 2 of the days out of the three I usually go. But fitness is going good. Can't say it's anything exciting right now, unfortunately. It's just is what it is. But probably more exciting for everybody because we have a lot to talk about here is hobby time. Neil, how's your hobby been? Your little DQ journey I see you doing with your little orcs and goblins?
Yeah,
Dairy Queen is what I should say.
I'm messing around. My army is ready to go. The only thing I need right now are movement trays, and so I'm 3D printing some movement trays. Not really going as well as I would have liked it to go. I'm doing them on a resin printer, which is not really what you want to do.
Mm-mm.
So they're a little janky, but they move. They move the goblins. That's what they're meant to do. Um, but yeah, wish they were a little bit better than what they've turned out. Maybe what we might have to do is crowdsource some actual good base or I don't know, movement trays at some point because these are not doing it. Got to get something. They're kind of lifting up at the edges a little bit and everything because they're like modular trays that I have to kind of put together and they're not sticking flat because the glue and X,
Yeah,
Y, and Z. And I just yeah,
makes it a
I
little
don't know.
rough.
Right. You don't want to be doing a wheel around something that's sticking up off the board. It's
Oh,
not a
but
good look.
yeah,
So
I'm pretty thankful. One of my club members, Tom, he has a filament printer. He's been printing the trays that fit the old bases but represent the new base sizes nonstop for the club, and he's like literally just showing up with them. He's like taking requests and just here, take whatever you want. So I have a nice stack over there. I think it should be more than I need ever, but it's nice to have options. Some five
yeah,
wide, 6 wide, 7 wide. So I feel
here's
that
a
pain.
little example here.
Okay, what you got?
What happened? Here we go. This, and watch someone fall out. But this is actually me holding them up. Well, they should be falling out, but they're magnetized. So
Oh, yeah.
that's some
That's it.
magnetized goblins right there.
See,
So
you're ready to work at Dairy
uh,
Queen. You're ready to good to go. Just turn
right,
that blizzard upside down.
hey, give it a little shake right here. We're good
Yeah,
to go. So that's the boys. As you can see, that's my there's a little bit of a lift there. I don't know. It's all right.
you'll
It's
get
okay.
you'll get some games in.
you know when you make something, you want it to be perfect, and then when it doesn't come out perfect, you're like, ugh.
Hey, you know what?
But
You just survive in a unless you have a heat gun. Just wait for a hot summer day, put on something flat. It'll even right out.
right. That's actually not a bad idea.
But if you have a heat gun, that'd
Yeah.
be easier and more controlled and
Put a
better.
little, we'll put one of my 5 pound plates on that bad boy and let it get some work out of it.
There you go. There you go.
You know, I have to lift it to get it on there, so that counts as fitness, right?
Exactly. So what's your what else you got going on in your hobby?
Uh, that's pretty much been printing and building lately. I've not painted anything recently, although I
Boo.
did prime a bunch of models. I primed a ton of models,
Okay. All right.
so that does count as paint on, I suppose. So the paint will start very soon,
Okay.
very soon, and so I'm excited to kind of like oddly excited to batch paint. I don't know why. Because it's kind of hell, but
I love it.
I don't know. I'm excited for this army, so I'm excited to kind of paint contrast black on a lot of Night Goblin hoods
I'm
over and over.
I'm looking forward to you getting this army painted just in time for the Arcane Journal Orcs and Goblins to come out, and then you
Yeah,
fall in love with one of the Arcane Journal armies, and you're like, well, shit, I gotta build and paint
yeah,
more.
yeah. It's okay. I anticipate having many thousands of points in this army just to mess around with it because there are a lot of units in this army, so
There you go.
should be fun to experiment with.
Perfect. Well, um, I guess on to my hobby time. So my painting right now has been still all about these lovely boys and gals, the cities of Sigmar here. Um,
Mhm.
Good progress on them. I have steel helms done. I have the fusiliers done. I'm working on some blackguard, which are just wildwood ranger proxies. A couple heroes. I'm aiming to get 20 or no, aiming to get 1,000 points done by February 17th, which is the next club day for this little hex campaign that you put together, Neil.
It's a pretty book right there.
It's a very pretty book. But honestly, actually, after I get these 23 models left to paint, which is like I said, 20 models and 3 heroes, I'm over halfway done with the army, so there's a chance I might be able to get the entire army done by the 17th of next month, which is good because I plan to grow this army within that campaign, be above 1,000 points.
Yeah. Oh,
And
that actually reminds me.
yeah,
As far as the campaign goes, I did get a game in against my local shop owner, Matt Farrell, who's also in this campaign, and
yes, sir.
he got together his Flesh Eater Courts army
Yeah, you did.
well enough
Tactical
to
rocks.
get him out on the board and play his first game. And so that's been his first game of AOS in this edition, which is kind of hilarious since it's ending in like 5 months. But
God bless. Not soon
but he
enough.
got in. He got in. He's learning third edition just in time to unlearn it.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, he played me with Flesh Eater Courts, and I figured out that those Crypt Ghouls are pretty good.
Not bad. Not
So
bad.
yeah, they especially when you've kind of beaten them and you're ready to destroy his entire army, and then he brings back 4
Yep,
out of nowhere,
it's
and
pretty
then they
good.
hit you at Ren 2 to 3 again, and damage 2 to 3 or something like that, something stupid, and yeah, then all your stuff disappears and you
What?
retreat the battlefield.
You're like, what the hell just happened?
That's what I had to do. Yeah, that's a guy who hasn't played AOS this entire. He beat me. Yeah, so yeah, you hate to see it.
So you stare at him and be like, you know what? Next time, battle tactics. I'm gonna make you suffer.
Oh no, I never do. I never do a thing like that.
Oh, you're also prepping for a Brewhammer. You want to talk about that?
Yes,
You want
I
to talk about
did
that?
build a list for Brewhammer. I did.
You
Yeah.
did. You did.
Um, it's heavy on the wounds.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm running a Nurgle list. It's a combined arms. It's demons. It's mortals. The mortals are the Blight Kings. 2 units of 10 of those. 2 units of 20 plague bearers. Unit of 3 flies. The demon ones. Rotmire Creed. Unit of those. We got a let's see. We got the one hero who gives the Blight Kings an extra attack. I'm forgetting what his actual name is. That's the
Uh,
only hero I have.
yeah.
And
The
then we got
it's gonna drive me nuts. He's the pirate guy with the
no, he's not the
tentacorn.
pirate guy. The
Not the pirate
pirate
guy.
guy's a named hero. Yeah, the
Oh, he's just
pirate guy's
non-named
named.
hero. Okay, gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah, this is just standard guy. So, We gave him overpowering stench, to try and shut off some command abilities and stuff. And he's got an artifact. I think it's a 4+ ward save on him. And then we got some Nurglings, and the goal is to just put. I think it's something. It's well over 200 wounds in the
Deal with
army. And so we're gonna push it forward, chew through it, and we're gonna try and score some points on some objectives. With this army, as we've been talking about battle tactics, I haven't played a game of AOS with actual battle tactics because we've been playing so much narrative lately. That yeah, it's been that long, so I have no idea what battle tactics I'm
You
going to choose. If it starts blowing my brain apart, I might just say
here,
we forgot our battle tactic, so move on. I'll take the
I
0 from that,
I
and
think I think here's what you do. So you take all the battle tactics available to you, so book and GHB, all right,
yeah,
and you make a list 1 through 6. And once you get through 6, you just take the next one and just put it at the top. So it's 1 through 6, and there's multiple rows of 1 through 6. And what
yeah,
you do is you walk up, you roll the dice. You start in the first row. Let's say you rolled a 2.
yeah.
Great. Round 1, you roll a 2. You go for that one, no matter what it is. Round
Yeah.
2, you roll a 4. Okay, you go for 4 in that first row still, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Say round 3, you roll 4
I mean, that's
again.
exactly what I'm gonna do.
You
Yep.
see 4 again? Okay, well, you used 4. You're not re-rolling. You go to the second table. You use that 4.
Uh-huh.
So it's like you never have to re-roll. You just have everything spaced out, and it's just completely random. Whatever it is, it is.
Yeah. I may just go just my book tactics, and I may just roll a dice.
Yeah, and
That's
but
what I do.
I would say is like the
So,
backup is if you
yeah.
roll something you've already gotten,
Mhm.
you take a equivalent. You take the whatever it is in the GHB.
Yep.
Just make
Yeah.
it easy. Just
It's
make
not
it
a bad
easy.
idea.
Keep it
Yeah.
simple.
I'm not going to stress about it at all. I'm there just to basically see friends and play some games of Sigmar. I am not overly concerned about winning any games, and I say that a lot on this channel. However,
You mean it this
this
time.
time it is actually true. Like I am not looking for even one W. I am just going there to drink beers, see my buddies, and just hope to God that fourth edition comes out with no battle tactics and none of that janky stuff that I got to worry about, and no more Andorian locusts, no more any of that stuff. We're just gonna play a game. It's
Hey,
gonna
well,
be
you know
very
what?
simple in
Hold
terms
on.
of what the
I'm gonna
goals for the game are.
you hold on right there. I'm gonna show you something.
Talk amongst yourselves right now, people. Hopefully you're digesting that
So
beautiful
Neil,
Nurgle list.
you know where you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Let me show you Warhammer: The Old World. All right.
Yes, yes.
This book, and
That's
everyone's
the
gonna be
other
like,
reason
"There's
why
so many
it
more
can't be.
rules to it," but like, you know what? It's not bullshit. It's not.
Somehow, some way, it's easier. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I guess we're gonna play it and we're gonna find out. But I don't know.
Well,
I've been playing AOS now for 8 years, and the game seems more complicated to me right now than, than it ever has.
yep.
You'd think it would be getting less complicated, right? And then
Nope.
I'd be getting better at the game, but it's not been the case.
Well, I have worries with Sigmar because I look at 40k and a little bit I keep track of it, and like 40k just feels like it's lost a lot of flavor.
Yeah.
And the game is definitely catering towards that match play balance, which is fine. I'm not saying that's wrong or right. That's just how it is from what I see it.
Yeah.
And the longer that goes on in 40k, the more I realize it's not a game I want to put a lot of effort into. I still love the lore. I still love my armies. Sigmar's kind of approaching that.
Yeah.
It's not there yet.
There's complication and then there's bloat. There's complication for complication's sake, it seems like. And that's what
Yeah.
it feels like, you know, some of this is. Because, I've played a lot of games, in this narrative thing. We don't play battle tactics or anything. We pick
Yeah.
a scenario, we play the scenario. The game is fun. The game is competitive most times. We played that game that I played against Matt, even though it was a completely like open play 3.0, draw your cards, make up a scenario thing.
Yep.
It went to turn 4.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's inherent.
Show me a lot of games right now that aren't over by turn at least 3. At least 3.
That's inherent within like the core concept of the game and the balance of the battle tomes, I would say.
Yeah.
And I for the tournament setting, you could say grand strategies. I still like grand strategies, but like battle tactics, it's complicated needlessly, and battle tactics are complicated needlessly in a way that it doesn't matter anyway.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I'm less and less intrigued to do tournament Age of Sigmar right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Not that I'm
that's
less intrigued to play the game. I still want to play the game. It's great. I
right.
love the setting. I love
Yeah,
my armies.
I'm having a
But
blast doing what we're doing, right?
yeah,
You know, but I just it's the tournament type stuff, which is not I'm not anti-tournament in any way.
no,
I enjoy going
absolutely
to
not. Yeah,
tournaments. I've gone to many, many, many. I plan to go to many, many more, but
yeah.
I don't know.
We're not saying it's wrong or right.
Yeah.
We're just saying it's not for us at the moment. It's
And
not as
if you've
bad
been a
as
follower of this channel for a long time, you'll see this kind of feeling, I think, maybe mutually between us since the start of 3.0. So
yeah,
at one level or another, you know. So
yeah, for sure. And like I said, it's we're not against it. We still enjoy it. It's just the style of where we're at. It's just how our feelings are. Not that they're doing a bad job or we dislike anything. It's
mhm.
just that's where my heart's at. And even still, like I say 40K lacks flavor. I will hold that belief very truly. It lacks a lot of flavor. Sigmar still does not. Sigmar's sub
Yeah,
factions are still very robust. I feel like I'm playing an army and I'm playing very specific version of that army, and I can list build
yeah,
towards it. I can't
oh,
feel
yeah,
like I can't do that in 40K, but I
yeah.
we'll wait and see with fourth edition, like what's next, what's it going to entail. But for now,
Mhm.
narrative, Sigmar, and then competitive Old World is where I'm kind of at. Because even competitive Old World feels very beer and pretzels at the moment. Because it's that Wild West time. Like we don't know,
Sure,
no one
yeah.
knows what's going on.
Although I'm hearing some of the stuff on some of the content, some of the lists people are coming up, some undefeatable dragons, some
Dragons are
that's starting
defeatable.
to get me a little worried.
Dragons are
But you know,
impetuous.
yes, well, perfect.
Yes. Um, Now, kind of lead into what we're talking about tonight a little bit because it's an old world show. Everybody, you probably realized that when you clicked on it. But my hobby time, outside of the painting of the Cities of Sigmar, which I'm really enjoying. They're fun to paint, and because I'm otherwise I'd abandon them and go right into old world painting. Um, but I'm waiting for my GW ordered ship for old world. I also have a bunch of high elves I purchased off of a friend that are being shipped out tomorrow. I will have tracking tomorrow, which is also exciting. And
Mhm.
outside that, list building nonstop for Old World. I can't stop doing it, and
Yeah.
consuming as much content as humanly possible throughout my day with my work schedule. Um, and like even
Every
so,
time I get in the car, it's like, well, okay, what video can I pull up?
yeah, it's nonstop.
We're driving to the water park, and I got something pulled up, and my kids are just going nuts, like, ah, Dad, come on.
No, shut up, kids. Well, I
Sorry,
kind of like have a tier
I'm driving.
system. There's the shows I'll always listen to. There's the
Mhm.
shows I enjoy listening to, and there's the shows I will listen to. So it's like tier three,
Mhm.
three tiers.
Mhm.
And with how much content's out there, as well as with what we're putting out, I'm still like at the high end of like my mid tier level. I haven't even had to drop down to like my shows where it's like, yeah, they're okay. I enjoy them, but I don't need to listen to them. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? But they're still,
Yeah.
if I want an old world, I'd listen to them.
Mhm.
It's just nonstop and it's great. On top of that, I've also gotten in a couple games of old world. Currently at 0, 0, and 2 for my record. Not that it matters. Um,
Too funny.
it's what we're playing. The first game was really weird because we were kind of like pseudo playing high elf versus dark elf. We didn't have the full dark elf rules. The second game was only 1,000 points, so it's like it's really hard to actually win with 1,000 points. But it's about
Mhm.
learning the reps right now. Like that's why the wins don't matter. It doesn't matter. Like if I win, I'll take a trophy, but I'm not gonna win. It's all about learning the rules. But the
Sure.
game plays well, enjoying it. Each game gets more and more fluid, looking up things less and less in the book, which is great.
Mhm.
I do look forward to having my own copy of the book in hand instead of borrowing a
Yeah.
copy of a book that someone has. Because like then like I don't know, it's just I'm being yeah I don't want to hurt their book. I'm being very cautious with it. Whereas mine, I'm just like I'll be like, where's that? Where's that? Where's that?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll just
Sure.
know. I'll just know.
That is
Um,
definitely a concern. You don't want to, you know,
right.
uh, Rito finger up somebody else's book.
Exactly. But no, it's good. It's exciting. I really can't wait to start like fully diving into it once the city's army's done. But still, having a blast. Just Warhammer in general. It's just fun right now.
Mhm.
But well, all that said, 20 plus minutes into the show. Neil, tonight,
What is our topic?
yeah, we are going to be talking about formats for old world events. Not now, we are not coming to you saying we know what the format is. And to be fair, no one out there is coming out there and saying there's a couple of shows out there that have talked about it. We'll mention them as we go along. But with this new game system, there's a lot of ideas being thrown around, a lot of suggestions on that dreaded word that I used to hate in Sigmar, but don't hate as much anymore, called comp.
Mhm.
Now, there's levels of comp I like, and there's level of comp I don't like. Truth be told, I'd rather just play out of the book, nice and simple, but I understand where comp can come into play sometimes.
Yeah.
So we're just going to talk about the different options that are out there. Warhammer World is doing their first official Warhammer, the Old World events. So I downloaded their 2 packs so we can take a look at them here. One's a 1-dayer, one's a 2-dayer. They're both small points levels, but just interesting to see what their comp is. Not that their comp is going to be what isn't going to be needed, but there's a lot of things in there that I've seen. I'm like, I've heard other people talk about this too. So tonight is talking about Warhammer, the Old World events and formats. So Neil, you and I are both TOs.
Mhm.
We've done narrative. We've both done competitive. We've kind of done the gambit. Usually more on the Sigmar front. I've done a little bit of 8th edition front as well.
For me,
But
100% on the Sigmar front.
yes. So where do you lie? No, because technically Adepta Won't last year was a mix. You can claim it. You can claim it.
All right, I'll claim it.
Okay. Where do you see yourself as far as like if you were to like I'm having an old world event, let's say 5 games. You're doing a 2-day weekend event. What would your instinct be for old world with where we're at now of how you would write that pack? Just generally, just over high level.
If I'm doing it relatively close to launch, right?
Yeah, it is.
I like to play at 2,000 points. So if I'm building my own tournament, it's going to be at 2,000 points.
Okay.
Right. I'm tempted to go to like something like a 2,400, 2,500. Right. I wouldn't do that though this early on. I think that's way too much. I think even, the tournaments that are doing, as we'll talk about today, a 1,250 or 1,500, I think that's completely feasible, especially knowing that it's a fresh game. People are getting armies back together for tournaments. We're looking for some type of painting requirement always so that the enjoyment of the hobby is just better when things are painted.
Yep.
If I was holding a local event, I would not have a painting requirement currently, right now. Just because, give some grace for that. I'd love to say a little caveat. Please show progress.
Yeah.
Please don't bring bare plastic in.
Where would you stand on basis right now?
Basing, again, early, so people are still getting stuff together. I'd be perfectly fine with the trays that are like movement trays that are adjusting for size. So taking a 20 millimeter to 25, I think that's perfectly fine. Honestly, I don't know that there'd be that much of an issue even into the far future with that.
No, there'd just be an issue if, say, I think there'd be an issue if you said we're not using new base sizes because you're assuming everybody has old collections and not someone went out and bought the new Tomb Kings or Bretonian box, which only has the new base sizes. So
I think the only with keeping your old bases and trying to use the trays is when you're talking about like skirmishing units, things that aren't going to be in a tray, and then you still have those on 20 millimeters or whatever the base size that's off from the new size. I think that's an issue.
You could still have a tray for them whenever you had to rank up, though.
Yeah, you could do that when you had to rank up. You're right. So yeah, that could probably take care of that. Because you do rank them. So yeah, I guess that could get you by there, but I don't know.
Where do you sit on the Legacy Army match play legal front?
Put them in.
Yeah, exactly. All right, yeah. 100%.
Put them in. And you know what? I would love to see, this is kind of off topic a little bit. So a little tangent here. But as far as the Legacy armies go, we know that there's not going to be support for them, and that's fine. Because we also know the community is very good.
We've looked at those PDFs, by the way. They're out now. I
Yeah.
did a little video on them. They are
Hmm.
full armies, just as what you'd find
Yeah.
for the Forces Fantasy Ravening Hordes. They're just not going to get the
They
Arcane
seem
Journal.
fully legit. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I know
I s-
so I know like the community's just getting a hold of them. They'll start list building off them, and if something gets a little
sure.
crazy, then we fix it. But I think just based on what I've seen so far of them, I think the only thing that really needs tweaked is the points if that becomes an issue. And
Hmm.
so what I'd love to see is the community somehow, some way get behind, somehow changing the points ourselves.
Well,
Some kind of semi-official,
it's
like I don't know who does that. I don't know what governing body takes that over, but I would love to see somebody do something like that, like suggested points. When they come out with a new FAQ every 6 months and they adjust the points to the legal armies, then having a suggested points adjustment even
well,
somewhere
I
out
th-
there. I don't know who would do it,
yeah, I think
but
we're all kind of hoping and relying on the fact that like we're all looking at that legacy not match play thing as like, uh-huh, sure. Clearly that wasn't the people who made this. Clearly that's some other decision from some other level. Which
right, right,
we
right,
won't get
because
into
they're
here.
there. Yeah, they're
It's
there and they're good,
Yeah, they're
right?
there
They're
and they're
not just
good. It's not
yeah,
half-assed. If they didn't want you to play them, they wouldn't exist.
right, right.
Um, so I have a feeling in 6 months' time, they may kind of slowly soft go back on that, and we might see points changes on those things. Sure, maybe there's not going to be any rules changes. Maybe there's points changes.
Yeah,
I would rather, I don't want to rush into the community fixing everything. So this is a good
sure,
rule set, and everything right now seems pretty
sure,
well good.
sure.
I want
Yeah.
to give the benefit of the doubt to see if they will change it as needed. We'll see. And here's the
Well,
thing.
I hope that's the case too. I think everybody hopes that's the case, but so far they've come out and very firmly said that is not going to happen. So we'll see, I
If
guess.
if,
But
if they refuse, we will. For sure.
right, right, right. So if that's the route that does get taken, and it looks like that's the route that is going to get taken. I mean, like somebody mentioned, I forget which content creator mentioned this, but like, they go back on things,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
The fact that we're playing this game right now
Means they went back
shows
on
that
it.
they go back on things.
Yeah.
This game just existing as itself shows that they can course correct.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
might take them 8 years, but they
I,
do
I,
do it.
I I would advocate giving them the benefit of the doubt that they will course correct and join along with us. Because like I don't want to see heavy comp from the community when this game is in
Yeah,
such a good state that it probably won't need it if there's slight corrections from Games Workshop. Heck, there was a day one FAQ that was actually an FAQ.
yeah,
I have it printed out. It's actually an FAQ. It's just frequently asked questions. It's not
yeah.
changing anything. And it's like that means you wrote a
Well,
good rule set and things are fine right now.
as an old head, I gotta come back to this again. I mean, there was a time, guys, in the not too distant past, where you didn't get a FAQ, you didn't get a new book, you didn't get new anything for like a decade. Okay, like it was like, okay, you got nothing.
Yeah,
You had what you had, and you liked it, and that was it. Or you didn't like it, but you still
it's what you
sit
had.
down and you ate your peas.
Yeah.
Like that's just what you had to do. And the fact that they came out day one and they're already seeming like they're on like the same kind of Age of Sigmar, same kind of 40K kind of regular updates to it,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. I love that. So if
Yep.
we're actually going to see points changing and things like that, one of my biggest concerns and one of the great things about Sigmar is they've kept those points changes going so fast that the meta has changed.
Yeah.
Has been pretty fluid.
The
You haven't
only
seen like go ahead.
I'll say the only struggles I've seen with points changes, say from 40K and Sigmar that I've seen, and I don't mind the 6 month point changes or the battle scroll changes because we're about to get an Age of Sigmar battle scroll here soon in the article that they announced today. Um,
Mm.
which the fact that it's not out yet makes me think that they had one made and then LVO happened and they went,
Pump the
maybe
brakes.
we need a few more changes on this. But anyway, um,
Yeah.
uh, shoot, where was it going with that? But I like it. But what I don't like is we had it for Cities of Sigmar, we had it for Votan. Those are the two biggest ones I could recall from those two game systems. The models aren't out. The
Yeah.
rules aren't technically out. They are just released.
Uh-huh.
in like
And
the
already
and the
the
points
blowback
change,
is so
and
big
there's
now. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just like that's what I don't like that. That's
Yeah.
annoying.
Oh, no,
I
no.
don't mind points
That's
change.
not
I don't
that's
mind points
right.
changes when it's 6 months down the line and I've had an army painted. It's just like, okay, things have adjusted.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to change out one unit. Maybe I need. Sure, that's fine. That gives
Yeah.
me excuse to go back and revisit an army. But if you're
Yeah,
changing the
regular
rule,
updates without hot takes, right? We don't want the hot takes
no,
for sure, but we
exactly.
want the yeah, but the regular updates I think are healthy for a game system, and I'd love to see. And I've never seen, I don't think ever any of us have ever seen a fantasy game regularly updated. So
Um,
hopefully,
well, okay, I don't want to
hopefully,
say that you and I didn't because we didn't play Ninth Age because that community was very toxic towards people like you and me who were Age of Sigmar fans. So, was there an updated game
Mhm.
system with that? Yes. Did we acknowledge that community? No, they are toxic assholes. They can fuck themselves. Not anymore. If you've moved over and you're done with the Age of Shitmar and you're just enjoying this, good for you. But yeah, at the time, as a Sigmar player, fucking hated your
Yeah,
guts.
yeah,
Um,
it was too toxic.
and then
Yeah.
there was Warhammer's Army Projects, which was what arose out of the ashes of the burned out, terrible, mean community that was the Ninth Age. Let's be
Mhm.
honest there. Which was a
Yeah.
much better community. They just kept the passion in the game alive. I think it was Mateus is the one that kind of like led it up and seemed to do a good job with updates and everything with the community and himself. So I just want to go back on what you said there. I don't think that we haven't seen it. It's you and I haven't seen it because we didn't play in it. You and I
Right.
tend to stick
Right.
to official game systems, but
Right.
it has been
Right.
out there, and because like even like
Yeah.
still like the Warhammer's Army Project, there's a lot of rules apparently from there that have made it into Old World,
Yeah.
which were just logical steps from Eighth Edition, essentially.
Hmm. Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've never seen one little bit of the rules from that, but I'd love to hear that, and I wish I
yeah,
would have experienced a little bit of what that was like. So hopefully I get to experience it a little bit more officially now. So,
yes.
but yeah, my biggest fear for fantasy or for old world, whatever you want to call it, is that we just get stuck in a meta. If you're going to a tournament and you play dark elf, or you play in this case high elves, you see one high elf list.
Yes.
That's sad to me, and I don't even think the people who are playing those lists want that.
Initial
But
reads
if you're
don't feel
going to an
like
event,
yeah, initial reads don't
right,
feel
you
like
don't
there's
want to
anything that's auto
hamstring.
take.
Right, you don't want to hamstring yourself when you're playing in these events, and I get that. I don't think anybody wants that. I think people want to be able to be creative with the list building. That's where the game's at its best.
Hmm.
Like you just said, you've been spending hours upon hours building lists. I have too. So that's the fun part for me.
Yeah,
And so if the tweaks happen and that gets to change a little bit, then awesome. So,
yeah,
but
definitely good for us.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's we're in a good place. I enjoy this Wild West time period because I kind of miss the Wild West of AOS in hindsight, where things were just really
Mhm.
crazy. But they were a little too crazy to enjoy at the time.
They were a little too crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at the
and
time you couldn't
yeah,
enjoy it. Now we can in hindsight. Whereas with this
right.
older release, it's still the Wild West, but it's catered and controlled enough that we can
Yeah,
enjoy the Wild West of it. Because the Wild West is just like we don't know. I've not heard a single
yeah,
content creator go, "This is what's going to do it." Everyone's just
yeah,
like, "I don't know. Let's find out together."
yeah,
Which is what's also exciting about the topic tonight of looking at different events and formats that they're trying to use for their events because we don't know. We're all taking guesses at it, and you'll see some people that will be like, you have to play this way, you have to play this way, and like, all that's wrong. We should
uh,
play in all these different ways and collect the data and see which is the correct way to play. We don't know.
yeah.
We will
Mhm,
find that out together.
mhm.
So if we take a basic look here at the core rules, the page I should have bookmarked before we began. So, let's build an army list here. Nope, that's in the lore. Lore section's great, by the way.
I can't wait to get a hand on it.
It's so
Can't
good.
wait.
But
Got a day off tomorrow. I would love to have that book and just sit here and I would just flip through it all day tomorrow.
but building armies is based upon essentially how many points you're playing, because also there's percentages and such like that. Where is that at in this book? Is that the really far front? That's a fun thing too. I like that I don't know everything in this book right now. But essentially, you have to muster the army. So, the reason why I'm kind of bringing this up here is because whether you play between, was it 1 point and 1999 points, changes how
Yeah.
much you can take of certain things, as opposed to playing 2,000 to 2,999 and then 3,000 plus.
Yeah.
Because I've
For sure.
heard, let's use dwarfs for example. It's the easy one. So if I was to
Mhm.
play dwarfs at 2,000 points out of the book, which 2,000 points is what is suggested, and in the FAQ they also suggest, by the way, 4x6 tables. So we're all good there. 4x6 tables is what we'll play on mostly. Not that we can't play on a smaller size, it's just recommended size.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
and 2,000 points, which is what's out of the book. At 2,000 points, as a dwarf player, I could bring 6 cannons because that's what fits in my slots based upon points in that slot. Now, cannons aren't as effective anymore. I don't think it's worth it. But if you take a look at, say, we were playing at 1999 points, or what some people used to call 1999 plus one, that 6 cannons go down to 3. Drastic
Yeah.
reduction by 1 point
Yeah.
difference. So what's fascinating about that is, and that isn't across every army. That's the most, I think, most drastic example. 6 cannons down to 3.
Uh-huh.
But I feel personally that while we should try all these formats, so like let's say a 1999 plus 1 format, which means you're playing with the limiters as if you're playing 1999, but you can have 1 bonus point. So you essentially have a 2,000 point list, but you're capped on certain units.
Yeah.
I think that is a holdover from just the old ways we used to play, because that's a very old format structure, and I don't see that surviving. I feel that's just old hats coming in, thinking they know what's best without having actually read all the rules. Well, having read rules or listened to rules being read, but not having experienced the game. I don't think this game is going to need that level of restriction.
Yeah. It has to be filtered out, So my concern, right, is that a bunch of restrictions, there's always going to be something out there that causes a problem.
Right.
Always.
Oh yeah.
It's always is. Just period. Just something's going to be out there that's going to cause a problem, right? Now maybe the maybe the solution to that problem is 6 cannons.
Maybe.
Right? Maybe
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's the only solution you got, right, in your army is 6 cannons. But now you can't do it. So now you
Right.
don't have a solution. It's like, so I don't know. It's I want to see it just naturally kind of evolve. I will say I'm not opposed at all, and we'll see it in one of these packs, to the 0 to 3.
Right, which is a
The
natural
0 to
thing we've
3,
seen in 40K specifically.
yeah. I think the rule of 3 is, even if you're just looking visually across an army, I think that gives you more visually of what you want to see on a tabletop aesthetically in an army, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So you're seeing different things being taken. There's that Mimi dwarf gyrocopter
14
list. Well,
gyrocopters. Yeah.
yeah, whatever. If I see that, and if you see that, that goes across the table, maybe you're completely fine playing it. But answer me this: does that look like the game that you see in your rule book?
No, not at all.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it at all, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong or anything, but it's not
It's
personally like that's not the enjoyment I want to get out of what I see on the other side of the table, right?
right.
I want to see battle lines drawn. Maybe I'm alone in this. Hopefully I'm not. We're all playing this game. Ranked up troops, things like that, things that look like Warhammer Fantasy. And so if that simple rule is out there and that helps that situation, great. But I also don't mind seeing and giving us time to see evolution wise where we go with the game too. Because like I said, I mean, there may be things that you need to take, like, oh man, I just wish I had a fourth one of these things, because this could really take care of
Well,
that.
I'm also kind of in that
But
mindset right now because we're playing 2,000 points at most from any games that I've played, or any games I've played.
Yeah.
2,000 points. Anytime I bliss build, bliss building at 1,000 points is different from 2,000 points. Is different from 2,400 points. We all know that.
Right.
It's from experience. List building at 1,000 points, I can make an okay list. I I know what it's about. That list is just there to figure out what's going on and play some things. 2,000 points. I have not made a 2,000 point list and been satisfied with everything I've gotten in. I'm always like,
Oh no.
what if I want this?
No.
What if I want this? 2,400, I feel capable of getting everything I want in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which also leads me to believe maybe 2,000 is the correct answer, because it's not a comp. It's not like an adjustment, but like every list I build at 2,000 points and I feel like I'm missing what I really want, everyone else is feeling the same way, and I know that. I don't see that because I'm only looking at myself and my high elves. I'm like, oh, I wish I could get more Phoenix Guard in here.
Yeah.
But everyone else has that on their own list here.
And again, if things become a problem too, just like what they do with AOS, hopefully what we get in the 6-month cycles too is, okay, so X is a problem. Somebody's taking thousands of these things and it's stupid. It's thousands of these gyrocopters, right? So very easily, Games Workshop can go in there and say, okay, by the way, you can have 2 gyrocopters for every 1,000 points.
Yeah, that's easy.
It's like, yeah, and what you see in sometimes, and I think why you get some of these skewed lists like that, is like, if I try to build a Night Goblin army, I can have 1 unit of Night Goblins for every Night Goblin boss or hero.
Right.
They call him chief, from what I understand in the book, and there are no Goblin chiefs. Like, it's, maybe need a little fact on that, but not that I don't understand what they're talking about.
Yeah,
but that's a constraint, right? So this army that I chose to play has plenty of those constraints in place. If I want Mangler Squigs, I get 1 per every 1,000, right? Constraints on that. So I think there's just some armies maybe that maybe they missed the trick on some constraints somewhere, but that can get filtered out in this, because it's going to be getting regular updates, So
yeah, and it's very easy because, like you said, there's multiple levers that they can pull on. We can pull on the point size as a lever for comp. This is all natural comp. This is just like you pick and choose. So our natural levers are, how many points are we playing? Okay. Second, the percentages based upon the points we're playing. Third, limitations based upon the points you're playing of how much you can take up a certain unit at a certain point size. Yeah. And then the other one after that is technically points. Points itself is another natural lever we have. And on top of that, we can go into like the rules of 3 if we ever needed to.
Points aren't always the biggest detriment, right? Because the problem with points is points have to be looked at,
It's different from looking at points in like Sigmar 40k where it's just a unit. Right. This is model to model.
I'd argue it because even in Sigmar, like I always had this argument. They talked about the 3 prayer chanting slaughter priest, right?
Yeah.
And he was only 100 points. And oh my God, you get to cast 3 spells with this guy for only 100 points? That's crazy good. That's way too good. But at the same time, if you look at the army as a whole and what he does for the army, right? Oh. If you point cost him real high, now all of a sudden the whole army is not really functioning.
No, you have me
the way you want, right?
You have me there.
You have to look at it from an overhead
large
view,
and
right?
small,
forest from the trees kind of thing.
Well, since there's more granularity with fantasy, old world, it's harder to do that. I would believe that because like I'm the same way. When I was a playtester and I was the only I was the reason, and I will say this confidently because I know I was the reason Marathi stayed below 700 points. It was me because I always argued and I always won. As soon as I stopped becoming a playtester, literally the next week she's 700 points. It's because like if you read her rules on paper, she's too cheap. If you read her rules in context of what she does for the army and how the army functions, she should not be over 680 ever, in my mind. So
and that
you're
army
always going to have that.
Competitively playing against another army.
And guess what? That army went down right after her points went up. Go fucking figure. Sorry. Trigger point. But like there's lots of natural levers, and then and reason I'm happy there's so many natural levers we can pull is because it's more stopgaps for us keeping the pressure off from having to do community comp to a high level. Yeah. But let's dive in. Let's do it. Look into. Oh, let me minimize here. These packs. So these are the packs for the Warhammer World events that are going to be happening here next month or so, I forget. So they made 2 packs. The first one's the short one. It's 3 pages. It's a 1 day, 3 games. They're playing on 44x60 because that's just what the venue has. And you're going to have that too, everybody, by the way. Don't be upset if you go to an event and it's not 6x4.
Yeah.
Like, this is also only 1,250 points. So essentially, this is on, oh, actually, this is May 15th. This is essentially, go buy one of these starter boxes and you're good to go.
Yeah. Well, I will say about the 44x60, anything below 2,000, I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think
As soon as you get up to 2,000 point games, though,
you want to go to the 6
I
by
mean, I'm
4
looking at my army right now, and I'm like, I better be on on
Yeah,
a 6 foot table,
right.
with this base sizes and everything, and hopefully, what's happening is we're putting enough terrain out there as well that you have to move around.
Right, terrain is very important in this game now. And
Yeah.
I say that in context that I believe that there should be mixed tables. I think I kind of want asymmetrical tables. I don't want a hill in every deployment zone. I want a hill maybe in one deployment zone. I also want to go to a tournament where some tables are full of terrain and some are more barren. But I want random table assignments if that's going to happen, which is what I prefer. I like random tables.
Players,
yeah.
Competitive players, please, I beseech you all. Okay, here a little. I beseech you that in reality, okay, Napoleon never fought on a battlefield that looked the same on the other side as it did on his side. Okay,
right.
And I get that we want this game, or maybe you guys want this game to be like chess, where things are so even that we're showing, that I'm better than you because of X, right? But even chess, somebody's got to go first, right?
There's ways ways to show skill expression with it not being perfectly balanced and even. If it's perfectly balanced and even, I think you're missing out on such a factor.
If that's the terrain, if the uneven thing is just the terrain, I feel like we got to be able to accept that, right? Because it's more realistic,
okay.
And what better expression of your talent and your skill at the game than by being put in a deployment area that maybe is not so beneficial to you and you're still pulling off the win.
I think we could do a whole show if we went into historical battles about battles that were won solely based upon the luck of which side of the field they were on.
Right.
We could look at the Battle of Stirling. They captured that bridge quickly because they saw it and they got there. We go deep into that. But anyway. Yeah, I want asymmetrical and I want mixed tables, but I want random table assignments. I want it to be a pure luck of the draw. Because it's a dice game. Things are out of our control. Terrain can be a little bit out of our control because terrain is very important in this game.
Yep.
All right, so anyway, Warhammer World, 1,250 points. And I did see too, they did openly say, like, hey, if you're going to be on movement trays that just kind of space you out to the appropriate base size, that's fine. I've seen that they're not holding that hard and fast. They are holding hard and fast, I believe, on the match play only stuff, so just the core factions. Whether that's wrong or right, it's Warhammer. That's what has been said by the wherever it came from, so they're going to abide by that. So let's set that aside because every other event's not going to worry about it, and just because this event's maybe only doing core factions doesn't mean that what we can learn from their packs isn't useful.
Sure.
Obviously, painted models, bring your own stuff. So, army construction. Let's see. Acquire an army no more than 1,250 points. Play this event. Details choose. Found in the rulebook, page 276, 283. When building army, you can use the most up-to-date rules found in the following: Forces, Fantasy, Ravaging Hordes, and Arcane Journals. Now, here's another interesting thing, Neil, that I've... Assuming Arcane Journals stay like how they are on power level, which they don't seem too out of whack right now, I think there's not going to be an issue with them at all. Because my first thought was, those could be where it's crazy, or just like way too narrative that it kind of breaks the rules too much, that I could see events going, no Arcane Journals.
Right.
Which is an easy comp to do, and I think everyone would be like, okay, that might kill a few people's enjoyment because maybe they really like the Cetra style of just, I want to bring Cetra on all the chariots or the questing knights with all the mounts, but still.
I think that's a great opportunity, though. Like, as much as it might seem like comp to take them out, if you want to run a more narrative event, if that's where they're leaning towards, then you say, hey man, Arcane Journals are in. This is the tournament that we're running, parallel next to the other one. I can
Yeah.
see Adepticon, do or some like a bigger event doing both, right?
Right. But also at the same time, like right now with the Arcane Journals, the way they've been revealed, they don't seem so out of whack that they're not perfectly fine for match
You know,
play.
they
But
don't. Yeah.
but you could always leave them out because we also know in Arcane Journals that's where we're gonna get the named characters. So if you really like, because
Mhm.
there's some people that hated named characters, especially in 8th edition. I loved them, but some people hated them.
I
So
love
an
them
easy way to
too.
keep them out is just say no Arcane Journals. It's just
Yeah.
another
I
lever
love
you
them
can
too.
pull. Yeah.
I love the option, right? I want the option because,
Yes.
I mean, what you're a high elf player. Could you imagine just like you never got to play with Tyrion or Teclis ever?
I'd be so sad. I'd be
It'd be
so
so
sad.
sad, right? The Alariel's just a name in a book.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
But anyway, also use all up-to-date FAQs errata publications up to 1 week prior to this event may be used, which is kind of interesting. That doesn't really reveal that there's going to be a release a week before, but I think that's probably pretty acceptable with this style of game. I mean, 2 weeks seems to be the norm, but 1 week doesn't seem to be out of the question with the way we don't know how they're going to release updates and erratas and FAQs. So,
Yeah,
I don't honestly, I don't think erratas are going to change battle plan or game plans for people's armies so drastically that it's going to ruin their army entirely.
yeah,
If we've seen it in 40k and Sigmar where like an errata can change things so drastically, you're just like, oh, well, shoot, that changes literally everything.
Mhm.
But there's also the changes where it's like, okay, if you're playing this army right now and you've spent the money and the time to make it this way, but you clearly know it's broken and it's gonna change, that's on you. But I don't think change is gonna be as drastic in this game as opposed
yeah. I
to
don't. I don't ever.
yeah,
I don't ever feel too sorry for that.
right.
It's
And
just
not
like
not to mention
you do
like
some kind of skewed thing that is clearly you're doing it to you know, to beat the face off, somebody else, then you know what you're doing,
yeah,
and
hmm
when that thing becomes not a thing anymore, then move on. That's what you do. That's the life you're living.
right.
So
And
live that life.
don't forget too, we have
That's
the
what it is.
with the granularity of rules that we have or with points. So say they do points changes a week before. They're not changing a unit's points that could mean you have to paint a whole new unit. They're changing
Mhm.
points per model or on magic items. So maybe you drop a
Right,
few extra models, or maybe you have to paint 2 or 3 extra models. It's not
right.
that bad
It really isn't.
for
Yeah,
for
I mean, if
for prepping.
you got a unit of 40 goblins, right, and they all go up 1 point, right? You take out what? A few goblins.
Yeah, take out a few goblins. You're fine.
You're fine.
Right.
Do the math, right? So,
Let's see. Okay, army list should be presented easy to read format. Please ensure record your general. Okay, so all the basic stuff: scoring, victory points, schedule. Terrain will be set on the table prior to game one. Before each game, please adjust the terrain following the rules for objectives and terrain placement. And awards. So pretty basic. It's a simple pack. If you're doing a little games day at your club, easily take this. There's nothing. This is literally just Warhammer out of the book. Go.
right.
That's all this is, which is perfectly way to play it, and I'm excited that there's a way that they're doing it like that. Now, if you look at their other pack, which is the Battle in the Border Princes, um, it's a 2-day weekend 5-game event. So it's a little bit bigger. They're doing 1,500 points, still in the 44 by 60s. I think the reason they're staying at 1,500 is just because it's still new game. They're not trying to push to 2,000 too quickly, which is fine. Some places will, and that's fine too. But 1,500 also feels good to start out at. Army choice, like I said, Ravening Hordes, Orc and Goblin Tribes, Warriors Chaos, Beastmen, Bray Herds, Tomb Kings, Khemri, and then Forces of Fantasy. So essentially, they're very clear saying it's just this. It's just
Mhm.
just the core factions again, laid out a little bit
Yeah.
more differently. 1,500 points as detailed based upon the rules as usual. But in here, let's see. There's going to be an additional limit of 0 to 3 applied to any units that are not otherwise restricted by the army composition list you're using. That's what we were talking about earlier, so you're not going to see the spam of anything. Now, there's very
Mhm.
few possibilities I think where spam has been looked at so far in this game. Gyrocopters was the obvious one, but this is just an additional lever that it's not a natural lever; it's an extra lever that the organizers put on, just to make sure things probably are smooth, prevent anything maybe from being wonky.
And what I like about that, like doing it this way, is you're not saying anybody can't play with their toys. You're just saying you can't play with as many of them, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And I think that's fair. So, like, I mean, I don't know. 14 gyrocopters, about, 11 too many. So,
Yeah. Exactly. Um, Perfectly fine. They also go on to saying here that mercenaries can be used at this event, but allies cannot be used in this event. I'm a fan of not allies. I think allies is the quickest
I,
way to screw up any sort of semblance of what the hell you're trying to do.
I hate, hate with a capital H allies.
Yes.
Again, if you've been a listener of the show for some time, you have heard me rail against it in AOS. I
And
continue to rail against it in this game as well.
and to be fair, in AOS, I think they have it at a place where it's not bad now. But there's like so many extra levers they put on to make it get there. Um,
Yeah.
like even still, I have an allied model that I'm painting specifically for my Age of Sigmar army,
Yeah.
but it's an option. I could run a full
Yeah.
2,000 points out of the book with what I have as well because that's what I want to
It
do.
really, yeah, it really has been constrained well in AOS. I will say
Yeah,
that,
it will.
but
But we don't know
there,
because it's a different beast in this style of game. So there we see two unnatural levers being pulled. 0 to 3 applied to units and no allies. Okay. I don't think there's anything else in modeling and painting. Basic. Many models no longer produce on the bases which I came with, where possible base models as per the base size section in their profile, where possible. So like I said, I don't think you're gonna go to Warhammer World, and if you have the extended movement trays, that they're gonna be like, okay, whatever, you're fine. Now, if you show up and nothing's rebased and you don't have those movement trays, they might be like, okay, well, you got to do some weird shenanigans, or maybe you shouldn't use that army type thing. You know what I mean? Like that could happen, but um, that's pretty much it. Like that, and that's the only comp, quote unquote comps they put on here. Um,
yeah,
unless we go look to scoring. So in the other event, scoring was just victory points, whereas now victory points, there's extra points like dead or fled, king is dead, trophies of war scenario. You know, like they can, you can turn those on and off in your scoring of however you want to do it. So just extra things you can do within this game, and like these aren't even really. It's not. This is all very soft comp so far.
Mhm.
This isn't comp that where it's changing the game. It's just saying we're pulling different. Like it's essentially what we're doing with this hex campaign. We're not using battle tactics.
Mhm.
That's a pretty soft comp in my mind.
Yeah,
Like we're not changing battle tactics. We're not saying like here's how you fix battle tactics. We're just saying we're not using them because we don't feel we need them in our games.
yeah,
But we're not changing any other part around it. We're just using scenarios that don't need the points.
right.
But yeah, there's these two are pretty good. Basic formats. I think these are pretty well structured, very simple to use,
Now,
very simple to pull from. You could take these and put them right into your local scene too if you wanted to run an event with them as well.
so one of the things I looked in one of these packs here,
Hmm.
I don't have it up right now in front of me, but I think it's the very first pack, the 1250 point.
Okay, go back there
Um,
right now.
all right, go ahead and look at how much time they have to play it.
All right, so game one, 10:30 to 12:15. Hmm.
It's an interesting choice, huh?
Yeah, it is an interesting
As
choice.
somebody who's just learning the game, I think these games are going to take a little longer than they're planning.
Well, this is in
Even at that
May.
level.
This is in May.
To
Yeah,
May,
yeah. So there could be time for it, but I see your point. I see your point.
yeah, that's a little tight. I think
Is
that's a little tight.
that could be a little tight. We'll see. There's also we other
I played
events.
1,000 point games of Sigmar that go a lot longer than that. I
Well,
mean,
Dave's his own special beast.
that's true.
All right, here I'm gonna pull our lovely mugs back up here. turn that off. So
But that would be, I think that that topic brings up an interesting point for anybody who's trying to run something relatively soon is what are your round limits going to be? Because that's, for somebody who's learning game, you're going to be diving back into that rule book. And it is an extensive rule book.
it is.
So,
It's going to take a little bit
um,
getting used to. We're not going to shy away from
yeah.
that
So
concept.
yeah, I think that's going to have to be somehow sorted out as well, you know.
Well,
So,
and that's the thing. Like, the other thing is too is like we're going like they said loosely 2,000 points. We all feel 2,000 points. That doesn't necessarily mean that's where we should play this game at.
yeah.
Like we as a community will decide where we decide to play it at, and maybe we decide to play it at 1,500, or maybe it's 2,400. That's going to show
Mhm.
up over time. But like I said, I also like there's many events out there trying different things. Like there is events out there trying to 1999 plus one. I think Adepticon is doing 2,000 points, but they're allowing Legacy. So
Mhm.
how's that going to work? Also, that's the other funny thing. As data gets collected on how armies are doing, Games Workshop's going to have a very skewed result system because every other person out there is going to allow Legacy. So how do you track the
Right.
data? You can't.
Right.
It's the only
Yeah.
data you're going to have. Um, but yeah, like I'm just enjoying the wild west of where we're at. Of like right now, like local group, we're doing 1,000 point games just to hammer in the rules. That's the goal. Hammer the rules.
Yeah.
We'll eventually move up to 2,000 points. There's also things too you can also look at individually. Like I'm kind of doing my own sort of self comp in a way. It's more of like remember when we did that whole episode on Stillmania a while ago,
Yeah.
and then we made More Mania, which was more of an updated for like AOS style thing.
Sure.
Well, I'm doing sort of a Stillmania thing. I'm going to have 2,400 points of models. Well, 2,500 points. And within that scope, and that's not everything in the army, because I'm starting a new high elf army. My old high elf army is staying on its old bases. So within that scope, I don't have everything that's in the army. I have this set amount, which is probably about, let's say, 55 to 60% of everything that's in the high elf army. I will have as representative models. And I'm
Mhm.
going to just hammer that same set of units and in different styles of different ranks and shapes and all that stuff
Yeah.
over and over and over
Open
again.
source
And if,
photos, yeah.
right, and then eventually, like I don't have Phoenix Guard right now, or Phoenixes or dragons in my army. But one day I'll be like, you know what? I've earned that dragon. I will buy that dragon. I'll add it to the army, and I'll start playing with it.
Mhm.
But like I'm going to self comp by not just going towards whatever I think is best for my local meta. I'd rather take these sword masters and these sisters of Averlorn over and over and over again and learn to win with them. But it's more of a self comp. I'm not saying that's what everyone
Yeah.
should do. That's your own unique perspective on if you want that challenge or not. But um, that
I think that
will
works fine, especially at a club level. When you start going out, and if you're a competitive player, that's probably not the direction you're going to go. But I love that kind of stuff for club level type games.
right because I mean here's the thing too. Like I love high elves. I'm gonna play high elves. But if I was to go to a tournament, if you're saying Chuck, this weekend there's a old world tournament, everything's legal, legacy and all that. I'm probably not taking high elves. I'm
Mhm.
taking my dark elves.
You're gonna do something.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
100%. Because like
yeah,
if it's like you're going and you want to win, that's what I would be taking right now.
yeah,
Because
sure.
from what I've looked at, that's what I feel has the best shot at this moment. Now, granted, 6 months from now, same question could pop up and nothing's changed, and I could be like, I was wrong. I should
Yeah,
take wood elves or high elves. Um, so that's back to the Wild West fun nature of it. So I think the core concept of what we're trying to get across to is there's no set correct format yet. There is format options out there. You need to decide primarily with who you're playing with how you want to play that.
yeah,
And the rest of it, just keep an eye on it and let's see how it all pans out.
yeah.
We might, I, what might be a good fun thing for us to do in the near future, Neil, is after we've gotten games in, is for us to each make our own sort of event pack
Yeah.
see what we would do separate, and we'll come together and talk about it. Because
Hmm.
you know, and we'll see other events out there and be like, you know what, I like this, I'm going to use this, or I didn't like this, so I will never do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think that'd be great. Hmm.
yeah, but you know, any other thoughts in general about comp or just how you would approach developing to see like, do we need to limit stuff at all at this moment, or is it just fine as is?
I don't think you need to do anything with it. If we have a couple tournaments that go out there, stuff gets broken or something like that, fine. That's, right now we're all learning,
Yeah.
so if so, this is more really this phase, this first 6 months of the game being out is really a beta test. That's how way we need to look at it is just, it's almost like we want to see where we have to make the changes, right? So let it happen as far as I'm concerned,
Mm-hmm.
try different things, different options, do, see what feels the best to the players, survey these players and see what they liked about it, what they don't. If you're a TO out there, ask questions.
Or
I
just
think it's a
try.
great way to do it.
But if you try,
Just
and if you try and you don't like it, change it. Or if you try and you like it, tell people.
yeah. Survey your players, man.
Mm-hmm.
Find out what they liked, find out what they didn't. Nobody's going to be, you know, it's going to, somebody's always going to be angry about something, right? Or somebody's always going to love something
Or
more than somebody else.
yeah,
It's always nice to get the pulse of what people are feeling about how you set your tournament up, right? And if you change something different, again, survey your players and find out what they liked, what they didn't like.
and to be honest, I would tell people as you're if you're like a leader in your community, whether it's a TO or just club organizer, tell people like, hey, we're gonna trust bring it out of the book for now. Let's see what happens. But
Mhm.
keep in mind we could adjust going forward if things start getting a little bit wonky. So
Yeah.
give them the warning and then pull them
Yeah,
along the
be
way.
careful with your list. Yeah,
Yeah.
be careful with what
Well,
you
no,
bring, right?
not even that because if it's possible, like tournament players will do it, but it's just more of
Yeah.
like,
And the
hey,
other
like,
thing too is we live in a world now where that's more accessible than ever,
right,
right? With 3D printers and stuff,
and we shouldn't be
it's too
upset.
easy for people to just
Yeah, and we shouldn't be upset
throw some
that
crap
there's
on the
something in the
table,
rules. Yeah, we shouldn't be upset that there's something in the rules and people are going to bring it. That's fine, and we
Yeah.
shouldn't shame those people. That's fine.
Hmm.
Granted, we shouldn't shame them as far as not letting them bring it. If you brought 14 gyrocopters and put it down on the other side of me, I would spit on your army and walk away. I would say everybody should do that. All right.
You always have the choice, a little bit more diplomatically put, to not play.
Yeah, you'd be like, you know
You
what?
always,
You're like, fuck you. That's
yeah,
stupid. Don't do that. No,
yeah,
I don't want to. I don't think we need to have like the quote unquote gentleman's agreement or yeah, that's just so like old. That's like I think
it's
we need to
never going
have
to happen.
right. It's never gonna happen. But what I
You
think is
set your parameters, and people have to play within those parameters.
right.
That's
But tell
that's
people
on
like
you.
if we see something
Yeah,
that's wrong, we're gonna adjust parameters accordingly. Give them that
yeah,
heads up. Be like, for now is what it is. But if
yeah.
everyone starts bringing random crap ton of MSU and it's not fun for people, guess what? We're gonna change the game so we have fun. Go have fun with your models. That's the key.
Right, right,
And
right.
if you don't fit within that parameter defined field, then go find the group
Yeah,
that does fit for you on that. That's all that is.
yeah, yeah. But that speaks to different systems, right? So
Sure, yeah.
if we got a lot of different people doing different things, then you can find your niche.
Yep. But for now, I would say just go out there and play as many games as possible because this game system is great. I enjoy it. All the
Mhm.
rules look good. Um, Sometime in February, whenever we have all of our books in hand, we'll start doing some reviews. Neil will obviously be here for the bulk of them, but I'll probably bring like Matt on for dwarfs. Like we'll mix it up a little bit just to because
Love it.
yeah, I don't think Neil cares so much about Beastmen, so I'll find someone who cares a little bit more about Beastmen. Uh,
I couldn't tell you a goddamn thing about Beastman, and I
I
don't plan to. So
exactly, but yeah, no, I think it's fun. Let's enjoy this Wild West. Let's go out there, have fun, and hope everybody's orders ship here soon because boy, I was thrilled to get that email today.
Mhm. Run, Postmaster, run.
Yeah, fast as you can.
Love
Listen, I swear to God, if I get everything tomorrow, even though it was dispatched today, I'll just be like, holy shit, okay,
it. So good.
blown away. All right, everybody.
All right.
Hopefully it was a fun episode. Next episode, like I said, we're gonna do our best to pre-record it the next day or so to put it out in the following week since I'll be away, so you can have some content. But there'll be something out for you to enjoy next week as well. So if you're a new subscriber, I hope you're enjoying this. Thank you for subscribing. Be sure to like and subscribe now, and share it with your friends. And as always, stay Stormcast strong and happy hobbying.